the script. Okay. I've been trying to be nice in this kind of discussion. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Thank you very much. I'm sorry. After you invited me to come and be part of this, I accepted it because of the fact that there's a fellow by the name of Penny Dean, who is a very good friend of Annette's. And I wanted to be here today to celebrate 20 years with her on behalf of our common relationship with Penny Dean. When we accepted the invitation, I knew I was going to be frustrated, simply because of the fact that we're talking about a vision for the future. And when we raise that question, there appears to be the assumption that all of us in this great community are at the same place. And since we are at the same place, we arrive at a similar kind of vision. When we talk about one community, one goal, the first thing we have to admit is that we ain't one community, that we are a constellation of communities, and our values and our philosophies and our beliefs about the future and what the future holds for us is uniquely different. And until you have a conversation with all of us whose vision may be different based on our current circumstances, you can't talk about one community, one goal. Because when I come to the meeting to talk about one community, my community is Liberty City. And it's based on the vision and the circumstances and the problems associated with living in Liberty City. And when somebody comes from Pinecrest to the same meeting to talk about one community, one goal, then their vision is based on that set of circumstances. And the circumstances are not common in this community. We have to accept that coming into the drawing board to have this discussion. When we talk about the future, I love Hollywood. Let me tell you, I really love Hollywood. Some of the best moments in my life were on Sunday morning at Miami Shores golf course, with he and his mother and his father playing golf every Sunday morning. So Hollywood knows I love him. But I don't give a damn what he said about the environment. Because at this point, the environment that I'm dealing with in Liberty City is one of violence, is one of poor performance, is one of dismantled families, is one of the destruction of the family unit. It's one where the community is going down the cesspool, where every school in Liberty City, the children are failing. It's a community where the children are subject to violence. If you think hazing is something that Pam do, come to Liberty City on Saturday. So when you talk about the environment, my environment is described differently from Harvey's environment. I don't have any time to worry about whether or not the water's going to come up over the bridge and drown all of them. Because in Liberty City, children are drowning every day. So words that we use don't have the same kind of meaning, Mr. Publisher, as we have these conversations. So there's got to be a common definition of terms so that when I talk, you know what I'm saying. And when you talk, I know what you're saying. And if we don't have that common understanding about words that we use, then we cannot arrive at some kind of common solution in the process. I love this young man right here. Been on this board as long as I can remember and will serve him until the day I die. But when you talk about tourism in Liberty City, where it used to be important to black folks, right now in that industry, as we talk about the vision, there is no value, no role for black people to play in the industry. They may not think it's true, but it is true. So when we talk about all of these things that make up this community, we've got to be clear. Number one, that we are a constellation of neighborhoods that are influenced by a different set of values and beliefs. And therefore, based on what we believe and where we are in this whole process, it will determine what we think our vision will be. I've been here 48 years, and I close by saying to you that when I came here, things were bad.